Have you ever asked for something, maybe a small favor, and still got rejected? And then someone just asks for the same exact thing and they got a yes? Like, how they do it? Well, there is one simple trick that you can use to always get what you want from people. And it's backed by science. Now, let's go back to 1970s, when the machines were just huge blocks of wires and light bulbs, and the technology was only on the rise. Photocopiers were a huge deal at this time, and everybody wanted to have a Xerox machine on site. Schools, universities, all of them wanted one. Actually, Xerox as a company became a synonym to photocopying. Just like we say Pampers for diapers or Google when we mean search something online. At the rush hours, it could take hours to get that one precious Xerox and make copies of what you need. In 1978, a guy named Alan Langer conducted an experiment called the copy machine study. What he did is basically he went to a busy college campus and he asked people to cut in the line to make some copies. And people were given 3 types of sentences to request to cut in the line. Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine? Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush? Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I have to make copies? So the first one is just a simple sentence, just a simple question really. The second one is a little more descriptive. In this sentence, they really gave a reason for their ask. They were in a rush, so I think people would understand that. But the third one, this is the most interesting one. They just said, because I have to make copies. Like, this is not adding any context at all. Like, how will this work? How will people believe that? And drumroll, they did. As you can clearly see on the graph, just adding the word because to the request skyrocketed the compliance rate of people. You can see that the simple sentence got only 60% of compliance, whereas the sentences with the word because got almost 95% of compliance. This is just insane. You can just throw in some bullshit reason and people will still believe you. Now, let's talk about something called automatic compliance. It basically means that people agree to something without fully thinking it through, like their brains work on autopilot. And this is what Langer observed in his research. People who just hear some reason and then automatically comply to it. And this is because our brains have something called heuristics. This is like a rule of thumb really, a shortcut in our brain. In our context, it would be called the because heuristic. If someone gives me a reason, I'm more likely to agree. There are actually a huge amount of different heuristics. For example, availability heuristic. If I can easily think of an example, it must be common and true. I think you know people who are afraid of flying, right? And if you ask them why, they would just easily come up with a lot of examples of huge plane crashes. But why is that? Well, that's because plane crashes, especially huge ones, are heavily reported on the news, much more often than car crashes. Another example would be anchoring heuristic. So imagine you are walking in a cafe and you want to buy a latte. You walk up to the cashier and ask for a latte, and the cashier asks you, which size do you want your drink? You look up and see 2 options. Small one for $2.50 or big one for $3.50. Intuitively, you see that the price gap is not that huge, but the amount gap is also not that huge. And your brain gets confused on what to choose, and you stand here for a couple of minutes trying to decide which drink to go with, but eventually you just walk out the cafe. Next, you enter the Starbucks. You want to order the same latte, you go to the cashier, look up and then see you have three options now. Small one for $2.50, medium one for $3.50, and a large one for $550. When you look closely on the prices and the amount of drink they hold, I think your brain will choose the medium one right away, because it is not that expensive and it also holds just the right amount of drink. Not too much, but not too little, right? And this is exactly what Starbucks wants you to think. They added this third large option just so you notice the unfair pricing and go for the medium one. And there are really a lot more of examples of different heuristics, and on this channel we explore them and try to explain them as simple as possible. So if you are really interested, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, moving on to the most important part of this video. How do we actually use this because in real life? How do we actually profit from it? I made a simple checklist for you to follow to be better at explaining things. First and most important thing is providing a reason. As it was explained before, providing a reason actually boosts the compliance rate significantly, so it is crucial to remember that and always provide a reason when you can. Second is focus on your request structure. It is really important to make your request as short as possible, but at the same time make it polite and descriptive. You really need to find this balance between the length and the descriptiveness of your sentence. Now, this is really important to give people some strong reason to ask them for something, because they need to understand why you really can't do it yourself. And there might be two options. First one, if you really have something important that you need to attend, like a wedding or doctor's appointment, you are very welcome to always include that in your request. I think this is something really usual and people will understand you. But there are also cases where this is something more personal and you don't really want to disclose something. And in this case, you can just say something like, because I've got some personal matter to handle, or because I am handling things that I can't really reschedule. And it will be completely fine and people will understand you. Because we are people and we all have something personal coming up sometime. The last one is offering something in return. Now this is optional because not in every situation you really can offer something in return. But if you are asking for something like covering your shift or taking a loan from a friend, it would be really reasonable to add this something in return in your request. It is really powerful because it gives people a feeling that you are responsible and you understand how much work they have to put in to actually cover for you. So summing up, let's do some examples. Don't say, hey, can you cover my shift today? Instead say, hey, can you cover my shift today because I need to attend my brother's wedding? I'd really appreciate that and I'll cover your shift in the next week. This provides a reason for your request, you actually offer something in return, and you show gratitude for this. And of course, there are some limitations to what you can achieve using this because heuristic. Coming back to the Langer's copy machine study, he actually did another one, exact same one, but instead of asking for 5 copies, people would ask for 20 copies. This time, the result for a simple sentence and the sentence with placebo because were the same at 24% compliance rate, where the sufficient information was at 42%. This clearly shows that automatic compliance works only on small scale. When we're talking about something big, not really. However, applying reasoning still works on large scale, and it still increases the compliance rate, just not that dramatically. And this is like natural and logical, right? Because let's take another example. If you're late to an exam and you come in the classroom and you just say, sorry for being late, can I still take the test? The teacher will probably hesitate, and I would say in 50% of cases they won't let you in. However, if you just say, sorry, I was late because I missed the school bus, May I still come in and take the test? Thank you. And this sounds more responsible of you to provide a reason, and I would say 70% chance that your teacher would let you in. So, in the conclusion, the key to getting what you need from people is providing a solid reason for your request. If you give them enough information, they are more likely to help you. But, as always, you've got to find this balance between not being too short and not telling them your whole entire life story. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, stay balanced.